Iconic rock music superstar Jimi Hendrix is celebrated for his unparalleled talent on the electric guitar, but there's much more to the icon. The intricate complexities of his personal life, particularly his relationships with women, have defined the life and struggles of the legend. His journey through fame was marked by deep emotional connections, controversies, and a profound influence from the strong women who shaped his early years. Naturally, there have been many whispers, and now, at 55, Jimi Hendrix's son has confirmed the rumors. Let's get started. Early life of the music icon. Born as Johnny Allen Hendrix on November 27, 1942, James Marshall Jimi Hendrix was an American guitarist, songwriter, and singer whose brief but extraordinary mainstream career lasted only 4 years. Despite this, he is hailed as the greatest and one of the most influential electric guitarists in popular music history. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame describes Hendrix as arguably the greatest instrumentalist in the history of rock music. But it all started when his parents, James Allen Hendrix, or Al and Lucille Jeter, got married in 1942 amidst the backdrop of the Second World War. 3 days after their wedding, Al was drafted into the U.S. Army, leaving Lucille to manage on her own. Johnny Allen Hendrix was thus born in Seattle while his father was still serving. However, 4 years later, Al and Lucille renamed him James Marshall Hendrix, honoring Al and his late brother Leon Marshall. Sadly, while stationed in Alabama during Jimmy's birth, Al was not allowed to visit his newborn son and was instead placed in the stockade so that he wouldn't leave regardless. He spent 2 months imprisoned without trial, during which he received the news of his son's birth via telegram. All the while, Lucille struggled to raise their son, relying heavily on family and friends, notably her sister Dolores Hall and her friend Dorothy Harding. Though the situation appeared bleak, a series of miracles would soon propel Hendrix to the pinnacle of stardom and fame. Stay tuned for the whole story. Al was honorably discharged on September 1st, 1945, and 2 months later, he located his son in Berkeley, California, where a family friend, Mrs. Champ, had been caring for Jimmy. Upon his return to Seattle, Al reunited with Lucille, but their life was fraught with difficulties. Struggling to find steady employment, the couple faced severe financial hardship, and both grappled with alcoholism, leading to frequent, sometimes violent, conflicts. These tumultuous conditions deeply affected young Jimmy, who often sought refuge in a closet to escape the household chaos. Jimmy's relationship with his younger brother Leon was close yet fraught with the instability of Leon frequently being placed in foster care. Jimmy had 3 other younger siblings as well: Joseph, born in 1949, Kathy, born in 1950, and Pamela, born in 1951, all of whom were eventually given up for foster care and adoption. The Hendrix family lived a nomadic life, moving frequently between cheap hotels and apartments in Seattle. Jimmy occasionally found respite staying with his grandmother in Vancouver. A shy and sensitive boy, Jimmy was profoundly impacted by these early life experiences. The emotional scars of his upbringing, including the turmoil and instability of his family life, shaped the depth and complexity of his music and personal expression. Hendrix was only 9 years old when his parents divorced. The court granted Al custody of him and Leon. During the mid-1950s, at Horace Mann Elementary School in Seattle, Jimi Hendrix's fascination with music became evident. He even started carrying a broom to emulate a guitar. This caught the attention of the school's social worker, who grew concerned about him. She wrote a letter seeking school funding intended for underprivileged children, arguing that a real guitar was essential for his emotional health. Despite her efforts, funding was not secured, and his father, Al, refused to buy him a guitar. In 1957, while helping his father with a side job, Hendrix discovered a ukulele with only 1 string among the trash they were clearing from an older woman's home. She allowed him to keep it, and he began learning to play by ear, picking out single notes to Elvis Presley songs like Hound Dog. Around this time, Hendrix's mother, Lucille, who had been struggling with cirrhosis of the liver, passed away on February 2nd, 1958. To add to their sorrow, Al chose not to take Jimmy and his brother Leon to her funeral. Instead, he gave them shots of whiskey to teach them to handle grief like men. Braving through this sorrow, and after completing his studies at Washington Junior High School in 1958, Hendrix started attending Garfield High School, though he did not graduate. At the age of 15, Hendrix obtained his first acoustic guitar for $5. He practiced obsessively, learning by watching other guitarists and listening to blues legends like Muddy Waters, B.B. King, Howlin' Wolf, and Robert Johnson. The first song he learned to play was the theme from the television show Peter Gunn. He also began jamming with his boyhood friend Sammy Drain and his brother, who played the keyboard. A year later, after attending a concert by Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, Hendrix met their guitarist Billy Davis, who taught him some guitar techniques and even arranged a short gig for him with the band. The two remained friends until Hendrix died in 1970. Shortly after acquiring his acoustic guitar, Hendrix formed his first band, the Velvetones. He also persuaded his father to buy him a white Supro Ozark electric guitar. His first performance was with an unnamed band in the Jaffe Room of Seattle's Temple de Hirsch, but he was fired for showing off. He then joined the Rocking Kings, playing professionally at local venues like the Birdland Club. However, when his guitar was stolen after being left backstage overnight, his father bought him a red Silvertone Danelectro, allowing him to continue his burgeoning musical career. But his career was about to take a major detour, enlisting in the Army to avoid prison. Before Jimi Hendrix turned 19, he had been caught by the authorities twice for riding in stolen cars. Facing a choice between prison time and joining the Army, Hendrix enlisted in the Army. In the meantime, Hendrix also completed his paratrooper training and was awarded the prestigious Screaming Eagles patch on January 11, 1962. However, by February, his conduct began to draw criticism from his superiors. He was labeled an unqualified marksman, frequently caught napping while on duty, and often failed to report for bed checks. On May 24th, Hendrix's platoon sergeant, James C. Spears, filed a report recommending that he be discharged as soon as possible. Consequently, Hendrix was discharged from the Army on June 29, 1962, the road to stardom. After his discharge, Hendrix began playing in various bands, including the Isley Brothers, Little Richard, and Curtis Knight and the Squires. He soon gained a reputation as an exceptional guitarist. In 1965, he moved to New York City, where he formed his own band, Jimmy James and the Blue Flames. This period was marked by Hendrix's experimentation with new sounds and techniques. In 1966, Hendrix's fortunes changed dramatically when he was discovered by Chas Chandler, the former bassist of The Animals. Chandler was impressed by Hendrix's performance and offered to manage him. Under Chandler's guidance, Hendrix moved to London, where he formed the Jimi Hendrix Experience with bassist Noel Redding and drummer Mitch Mitchell.